Well, I got a couple ParaZappers here. Now, I just want to explain something about these. These are actually far more powerful than people give credit to. One of the things I'm also going to go into is what they have is the pedestal offset. And what that is it stays about a half a volt. I got this thing on right now. You can see the little LED lights in there. I don't know if it's showing up well on the camera. But what it does is it stays a half a volt positive above the zero line at all times. So this thing varies from about 9.5 volts to half a volt positive. Now, the reason I'm saying that's more effective is if you look at the words of Hulda Clark, and it's not just her, it's in other people came after her, like PhD Richard Lloyd. I've been using this Rife. This is not exactly Rife technology, but it's a derivative of it, actually. But what he's done is, and these are the handhelds for it, what he's done is he's used the positive offset too. Now, sometimes they'll use different, duty cycles instead of the 50%, but the 50% works fine. It hits all the harmonics on the odd multiplier, and but the thing is, with the pedestal offset, she says for it not to go below zero ever, because then you'll be helping out the microbes. Well, the pedestal offset makes it at about a half a volt positive. That's the lowest it goes. It stays well above the zero line. Now, you got to remember something. The microbes are oppositely charged than our body cells. You can look at the body in a different ways. You can look at it as an electrical battery. Each cell is a battery unto itself. It's about a half a volt negative charge on the body cells. The microbes run oppositely charged. So when a microbe hits, it's like a chemical and electrical reaction. And there's other things going on, actually, you can diagram too, physically going on with the microbes, how they attack the body's cells or the body's immune system attacks the microbes. But it's also chemical, and it's also electrical, and it's also frequency. So as if you got a highly trained Olympic athlete, their voltage in their cells could be even a little bit more than the half a volt negative. It might be 0.6 volts negative, and they got loads of energy. That also means that the frequency of the individual cells is higher. Now, the frequencies of your cells varies depending on what part of the body, also the voltage, also the, and you can't say everything in the body is, charged that way, because, to say, there's something else chemically. To say a negative charge, that means it's slightly alkaline. A positive charge is slightly acidic. Now, of course, your stomach acids need to be acidic to digest food. So not everything in your body is going to be alkaline, but most of it is. Most of it is. But as a general rule that applies almost all the time, microbes are acidic or positively charged. Now, Hulda Clark says the positive offset, varying at a 50% duty cycle, up and down, as long as it don't go below zero, will kill microbes no matter what the frequency is, even if from anywhere from 10 hertz to 500,000 hertz. Now, on his zappers, he's got the most commonly used frequencies that have been found to be effective by experimenters. And, I've been using these for years. And I don't want to say everything I know about them, because basically, it might be too much of a threat to the pharmaceutical industry. But I know these things are damn powerful, especially when you're using them about 8 hours a day. I basically sleep with this thing. I wear these paddles, and I sleep with it, and when I wake up, I got 8 hours of zapping in. Now, I've been thinking, this one is upped a little bit more pedestal offset. It's about 22% more pedestal offset than the stock one. And I've been using this. And the reason is that what I think is going on with the positive offset, why it works better than just the frequency to knock out a microbe, is because it's shorting out the microbes. The microbes are positively charged. It's getting hit with a positive current. It's like your battery. You short it out. You shorten out a battery. What happens if you short out a battery what happens there is it kills the charge. So when you're killing the charge in the microbes, you're actually lowering their frequency too, till they get down to zero voltage, and which also means zero frequency, then they're dead. Now, on the opposite side of it, this Hulda-Clark says it's making your immune system very strong temporarily, as long as for the time being you're using this, right? Well, I'm figuring that since it's making the immune system strong every time it's going up on a wave, so say this is the wave here, right? And say it's not going down to zero, so the other 50% of the time, say it wasn't positive offset, it goes down to zero, it's not doing nothing to add an electron to the immune system, make it stronger, or all the entire blood system. So if you got about a half a volt, and this one I think is 0.72, it's like almost 3/4 of a volt pedestal off to zero. So if it comes down, say from 9.5 volts down to like, 0.72 volts, it's that other half of the wave, the other 50% of the duty cycle is still using a positive charge to short out microbes and increase the voltage and more battery power for your normal cells. That's why I like this pedestal offset. I thought all his zappers had this. See, I'm not a guy. I didn't really pay attention exactly. So sometimes I was using a 6-pack and a CC2 a lot. I found that this one. Well, I happen to use this. These are both that have the pedestal offset, the UZ3B and this one. I used this one. I found it to be more effective. I don't want to say exactly what it was effective on, but man, it's definitely more effective with the pedestal offset. Definitely. And I don't want to say because, it could be a problem for, you could tell the truth legally, but you don't want to you don't want to take money away from the pharmaceutical casino, right? I'm just telling you, don't believe me, don't do it, okay? But, I love this thing because it's a one-time buy. It's warranted 5 years. And I actually found from Tenergy batteries, they make 9.6 volt batteries that are low self-discharge and high capacity. In other words, you can leave them around for a year and they got 90% charge. And they're 9.6 volts. Plus, they fit in these battery compartments just fine. They're not slightly oversized like a lot of other ones I've seen that are 9.6 volts. So this thing can put out 9.5 volts, no problem, just from the battery, rechargeable, that you could charge it and leave it around for many months and go to use it, you don't have to charge it again, which that in itself makes that battery last a lot longer. That's another thing I like too. That's something else I stumbled upon. I was using batteries like Panasonic Envelope, low self-discharge, but they're 8.4 volts, and I found these other ones that were like more capacity. They were made in Germany, but they were 8.4 volts. Then I found these USA batteries, Tenergy, 9.6 volts, same exact dimensions, and low self-discharge. They'll hold the charge like a year, and it'll be like 90% charged. Now, like, I'm using them in this all the time. But this has got the pedestal offset, and this one's got the pedestal offset, and this one's got a little more. That might be incorporated in all the future products. Since I use this 8 hours a day, I asked them to pump up the pedestal on it, and I'll try it out. If I feel fine, I don't know what the hell the difference is. Going to just bring it up about 1/4 volt or something, or 0.2 of a volt more, but it probably makes a very big difference to the microbes and also your immune system getting charged up, because. Like, if you're looking at all your cells in your body, they put out a frequency and they also have a voltage like in a battery. When Hulda-Clark's saying this temporarily makes your immune system into like super immune cells while you're running this and it's getting in the bloodstream and stuff, you got to think of what she's saying here. In other words, this is working like a battery charger to up the voltage. So instead of it just hitting on a duty cycle going up, where it's like 9.5 volts up here, and it's coming down on the wave, on this bottom part, instead of being zero, this is running 0.72 instead of like 0.5 or whatever the hell it was before. It's running 0.72. And you figure immune system cells, good healthy ones, running about 0.5. So it's putting a charge into it. Now, microbes are probably running about the same thing, except the opposite way, But this is hitting a microbe with a 0.72, and it's shorting out a microbe that's 0.5 because it's charged the opposite way during the other part of the duty cycle. See, it's not just doing it on the up part, it's doing it on the down part because it stays slightly above zero. I think this pedestal offset is some powerful stuff, man. So I've been running this about 8 hours a day. Now this is a new Uzi 3B, and he added some modes to it. It's got the 10,000 hertz, 5,000 hertz, and 6,000 hertz added to it. Now, the 10,000 hertz, I use that a lot. Actually, if I just click this on one more time, where it's got the double light like that, that's 10,000 hertz. I have it set right before 10. I got to click it one time to get it up to 10,000. That's where you set it, because you could start this anywhere you want in this thing. You could set it where it starts up. It don't have to start on mode 1 and you want to go all the way up to mode, I don't know, 22 or something like that. You don't need to, whatever mode this is. I think, oh, that's mode 19, I think is, mode 19 is 10,000 hertz on this. So you don't have to start it on 1 and click all the way through all these modes and stuff. You can make it, I got it started at mode 18B. So I got to click it once and it gets on mode 19. So, but I use the 10,000 hertz a real lot, but with the pedestal offset, now the increase in the pedestal offset, I think it's going to be far more effective. Because I said, these your microbes in your body cells are running like little batteries, and it don't take much voltage to get them, to make the battery work stronger in your good cells, your immune system, and it don't take much voltage to knock down the microbes. It doesn't take a lot. Actually, when you're looking at how the immune system kills microbes, it is a chemical electrical process. Plus, sometimes it's like a physical thing. You can see like macrophages poking holes in cancer and stuff like that, when they're working right, Now, one thing I noticed with this, the one problem I think, or limitation you got with the Zapper is, you can't reach everywhere in the body. Like, say, for instance, you had it on your arm, right? You had a infection right there. I could put, like, I'd use the flat paddle like this, and I'd take this, and I'd put it right over that. And see, it's right there near the surface. It's getting infected. This thing, I've been experimenting with a bunch. It works. But the problem is, say you got some problem deep in your body. That's where this thing is not going to get to that problem, but it could help keeping that problem from spreading, because this does get to the bloodstream. A lot of times what happens when you really get sick, it could be anything. It could be a virus, it could be a cancer, whatever the hell it is. What happens is those microbes start overflowing into the bloodstream. And yes, they can be easily attacked by the body's own immune system once they get in the bloodstream, because they're open to, they're visible, But the problem is, when you really get sick, your immune system gets really knocked down, and then your bloodstream gets overwhelmed with microbes, and you get a blood infection. There's a lot of times in the hospital, they got all these antibiotics, and they don't work on a blood infection in some cases at all. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I know there's several things that could really knock out a blood infection real quick. One is true colloidal ionic silver by intravenous, which you need to be a doctor for that. Another one is intravenous vitamin C, and even a careful administration of ozone therapy. Now, but the thing is, you got to be a doctor to do those things, and you got to have special equipment with the ozone, and you got to really know what you're doing, With this thing, this will reach the blood supply. And if you're running this 8-10 hours a day, you're gonna knock out. It works on water. It's not getting. This thing is the limitation on this is, say for instance, this was a bad tumor or something inside the body, and it's surrounded and protected by, a shell of whatever, pus or something. There's very little blood flow into it usually. Where there is a problem and there's a lot of microbes, there's very little blood flow into that area, right? Very little, right? And that is why, if you're using a Zapper, the electric current is going to go around that. It ain't going to hit right through here. But then on the flip side, is that anything coming out of this into the bloodstream is going to get zapped. So this thing can actually help stop things from spreading and getting worse, especially when your immune system is overwhelmed. So I mean, Zapper is not the only approach, but it's a good thing to add to what you do normally. You know, nutrition, and sometimes, you know, surgery and prescription drugs are the only way to go. And then once you get healed up to a certain amount, you can start weaning yourself off those prescription drugs and go with good nutrition. But keep up with this, and you're going to be that much stronger. I noticed I felt pretty strong with this thing. That's what I always notice with this Zapper thing. I feel pretty strong. Not every single day, but, you know, I'm a senior citizen now, right? So, I mean, I'm doing way the hell more than most of these people are senior citizens. I'll tell you that right now, man. I don't live in no HOA and mow my own lawn. You know, do my own roofing and put up my own fences, repair my own cars, pull out transmissions and stuff, put new clutches in. I just did that one. Camshaft on the El Camino, did that about 6 months ago. I'll be out there mowing the lawn with a little 28 1-inch mower, and I got a big yard with a hand mower, no self-propelled, 90-something degree heat. Ride a motorcycle, Harley Davidson, I had for decades. You know, I don't know, maybe it's not the Zapper only, but I've noticed when I use this a real lot, it doesn't like kick in right away, but after a few weeks I notice I got more energy. So I stay using it all the time a lot. But I think the pedestal offset is another advantage, because when you have this duty cycle, 50% of the time it's going up to about 9.5 volts, and then normally it would go down to 0. But when you got it at, this one's at 0.72. I think the stock one is about 0.5 volt. But you're staying above 0, so that positive current is still shorting out the microbes. Right there, kitty cat, Putin. He's a nosy little boo-boo. I'll take him over here. Right, boo-boo? Ow. So, you know. Anyway, I can't say everything I know about this, because it's like, you know, to me, even though it's okay for me to say that, but I ain't so stupid as to say, you know, what could take business away from pharmaceutical too much. And like, if you don't want to believe it, don't do it. If you use this 5-10 minutes a day, I don't think you're really noticing nothing. And like I said, I didn't notice nothing. Well, in the beginning, I guess you want to start out slow, using it 15-20 minutes a day. But when I started using this, you know, more than 10 hours a day, I noticed after a couple weeks I had more energy. And I was able to verify this with the Thunderbolt body voltage tester. I had very good body voltage. So here's my Buki. Right there, Putin. Right? Actually, these are my frequency experimenters right here. You know these cats purr? They purr. You know what that is doing? That's their way to heal. Anybody tell you, a vet will tell you, cats will heal up faster than a dog. Many times faster. That's because they got purring. That's like meditation. Right? You, my number one boo-boo. You came in here first, didn't you, Mr. Putin, huh? He's going to be 7 now, June 7th. 2019, he's going to be 7 years old. That's his birthday coming up, right? You're wearing that Confederate gray color too, aren't you? He's a sweet cat, man. I put my nose right up to him. He sniffs me. He's like, pick him up. He's real calm. He's very intelligent too. Like this guy, man. But that's, you know, I got these cats partly too because, you know, I believe in all this it's not I believe it. I know it works. But, you know, part of the proof that the frequencies work is look at the cats, the purring. That's what helps them heal. That's what helps them meditate and feel good too. But if they're in pain, it makes them get better too. That's why these frequencies work. These guys have been around for tens of thousands of years, right? Right, buddy? You're a good old cat, aren't you? Sitting right there on a rebel flag too, aren't you? Right? You're good old. Looks like we got rebel health here. Anyway, Putin. Love you, boo-boo. Over and out.